Welcome to our office hours. We've got kind of a different sort of topic today that was just came as we were talking to each other. There's lots of changes happening in the CPQ marketplace. And so we thought, let's just get together and chat about it. I know we've got some pointed pieces to talk about the acquisitions and so forth. But then, like, as I did a deep dive on this, and I think Brenton's same, we started to realize how big the CPQ marketplace is. So I think we're just going to have a chat about it.
Yes.
And hopefully it's interesting to those that are listening. I mean, the point is, we live in it and we think about it all the time. So if you're looking for a CPQ, hopefully you could lean on some of our uh, painfully earned experience dealing with CPQs to help you make a choice easier. So
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Because news is coming out, you know, faster than new AI models are dropping at this rate. And there's always a little something new, and then there are trade-offs as well. So we'll touch on a few of those today and discuss common trends and that we're observing. And you know, though we might not cover everything because the CPQ market is so vast, we're interested to hear additional feedback. Right? Call us out if we forget to touch on something, or if there's another thing that we weren't thinking about. We'd love to add to our arsenal.
yeah, absolutely. And at the end, I have some like distilled thoughts that I came to. If you're this
Nice.
kind of company, buy this. If you're this kind of company, buy this. It may not be totally right, but it's in the realm to maybe narrow your focus. So cool. Well, I think to get started, we always start with an opener. I just got a little bit of an update around what's going on in my life. If you know me long enough or you see my picture on LinkedIn, I'm into cars. Cars are my thing. And
Yes.
maybe this started over COVID. I bought an old RX-7 and I worked with my kids and we converted it with a Tesla motor and it's fully electric and everything. And then, like, this happens with every car I own. And then I start driving around. I'm like, it's not that pretty. And to be honest, it wasn't like that bad looking, but I'm at the point where I want to sell it. So the paint was okay, but I mean, it's a 30 something 32-year-old vehicle. So paint was peeling in areas and so forth. So I went to deal with it. And so I went through all the work to prep it and, stripped it down and filled
Wow.
any dents and stuff. And then if you ever do this, it's like prime sand. So it's like you epoxy prime it, then you put
Yep.
a polyurethane primer on it. You block that, sand that, polyurethane again. You block sand that, and you do that about 3 times. And then this is like the final result. This is like ready to shoot. So it's
Nice.
body's perfect. All the main parts are taken off. I loosened the bumpers. Like usually people maybe sometimes take the bumpers off, but then it was time to paint. And I was like, I've done that and I'm not a professional. So, well, I can get it to look good. Like it's all the post paint work that takes a bunch of time. If you're not good at shooting, you don't get a real smooth finish. And then, anyway, so I found a shop in Austin. I dropped it
Okay.
off. This is it, dropped off there. And then I went to pick it up this week
Oh,
and they
nice.
did an awesome job. Like I'm super stoked.
Oh, that's
The
sweet.
Yeah, and it's got this. It's the original paint color. It's called Montego Blue. It's like
Okay.
blue when you look at it one way. It's green when you look another way. It's a very 90s color.
That's
But
awesome though.
yeah,
Almost looks like a mood ring.
it does
Of
look.
my
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. So that's got to paint it. So now I'm putting all the pieces back on, and then hopefully I can take some pictures soon. And I want to sell it on Bring a Trailer, which is like uh yeah, auction site. People
Okay.
are going to be People are going to let me know their opinion about me Tesla swapping a car, but whatever, it's
Right.
going to be fun. It's gonna be fun. So that's like my update in my life. Um,
Oh, that's very cool. That's great. I hadn't seen anything about that car for a little bit, so it's fun to see that it's all polished up now and
yeah,
ready to go on the auction block. That's cool. That'll
I
be
hope
kind
so.
of a sad goodbye. I can only imagine though. Your baby, or you've had your time with it, and it's ready
Yeah,
for the next
I've
event.
fallen out of love with it, you know.
Okay,
Yeah, nah. I want the time back, is what I want.
sure. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and that's a lot of time doing that cleanup and everything too. Wow,
Yeah.
impressive.
Oh, you've done all that stuff with all your woodworking. Maybe I know you showed your um Catan board that one time, but be interesting to see some other
Bring
stuff.
another wood item out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could definitely do that. Perfect. All right. Thank you for sharing that one. That was a good surprise. I hadn't seen it for a bit. Well, like we were talking about for today, let me just get my, there it is, screen shared. So today, yeah, mid-year momentum, kind of what's new in CPQ this season. Um, and so the first thing that I thought we could try to review is just, what are some of the key trends that we're seeing? Um, regarding CPQ and what the momentum is. And so one of the first topics that I kind of was collecting was that like AI powered solutions are key. Like that's in the that's where everyone's kind of going, and especially if you think about agent force inside of Salesforce or now logic inside of ServiceNow.
Yep.
A lot of the focus is more so on in-flow generative AI, meaning like allow somebody to be like on the page and doing something opposed to having to jump to multiple locations in order to fulfill one requirement or one ask. um and because it's a CPQ, let the AI further assist in providing some guardrails as well.
Right. Right. Well, and I think about that like when I'm doing anything in Salesforce right now, I haven't used AI right within Salesforce. So I'm always pivoting, you know, I'm like going from one tool to the other to ask ChatGPT how I should do something, you know, and like I'm doing a bunch of stuff with Omni Studio right now, and I mean, the trailheads are not that descriptive, and so ChatGPT is extremely helpful. But like you're saying, like in context, AI is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let me add. I have some notes on the side when I add them in real time as we're going through this.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I think in line, along with that, self-service quoting, allow the rep to do everything they need. That's a key building block of CPQ. But that is more so becoming a focus as well. With all the things that are out there, right? Uh, let's see here. The other piece is low or even no code configurations, right? We're seeing that with a lot of different systems, whether it's Revenue Cloud is one that comes to mind for me. Is that looking at how pricing configuration goes? No longer is it just sheets of forms, but it's actually the true flow configurator to
Yes.
show steps along the way and where decision points are made.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that is like this just is kind of coming to me, right? So I'm not a developer. So like Salesforce Flow to me was a gift, right? Like I can't go
Mm,
in and write a Apex class. I say that differently. I could not go in and write an Apex class 2 years ago, but now I could.
yep.
I'm not a developer, but I can do it, you know, with AI. So it's like the no code configuration using drag and drop is it's very human centric, isn't it?
Yes.
Right?
Picture
Like
says 1,000 words.
yeah, yes, yes. But at some point, like, I was watching, is it '03 or 30? I don't want to take us down a whole AI tangent, but watching
Sure.
the release video for the new ChatGPT, and then they just have it build an app from, a prompt that's like 4 sentences long. It builds the app from scratch that does everything that they said for it to do, right? And so,
Hmm.
like, if I had to go through even if it was a super intuitive drag and drop no code configuration tool, man, that's gonna be way slower than
Yeah.
just having ChatGPT write it for me now. Total
Right.
total side quest there, but like, um, it is interesting that there, um, that may not be as important in the future. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Okay. So those are, at least quickly, those were some of the trends that, I was observing. And from there I thought, well, let's break down, at least in our world, what are some of the major players and what are some of the trends that are happening, with a focus more so on the CRM instead of the CPQ, right? So if we're
Mhm.
looking at Salesforce, um, you know, definitely CPQ is sunsetting. There, have been countless articles and all the partners are talking about, hey, CPQ is being sunset. It's end of sale, end of life. It's time to think about what your next thing is, right? That's a really big talk track out there right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, like, I've been kind of like trying to dissect all the way it's talked about, and I haven't seen an official announcement, but the word on the street is it's end of sale. The end of
Yes.
support is unknown, right? Um, so, but that horn's been blared for like the last year and a half, right? Um, so maybe it's coming to a crescendo. I'm trying to think about, what does that who does that affect? Like, if I have Salesforce CPQ and it's working for me right now, I don't think I'm doing anything, right? Like,
Yeah.
building a new CPQ it's such a massive change project within your organization. Um, like, don't fix what ain't broke, right? Like, if I had
Yep.
Salesforce CPQ and it was working, and I probably would just let it ride.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, and because I don't know, I haven't looked at like the end of sale timelines for Salesforce, but I mean, it's got such a big install base. I can't imagine they're gonna stop supporting it tomorrow, like, and pull the
Right.
rug out from under people, right?
Right. It's new sales, probably renewal. Yeah, let me add that.
Right, right. And then I think
Okay.
you have the note of Revenue Cloud spinning up, and we've been doing a lot of work on this, learning Revenue Cloud, doing POCs for customers, and getting our hands in it. Um, you know, the thing is, I was never a Salesforce CPQ fan because I had some painful experiences with it. I think that the thing about both of these tools is the complexity of them is high because it can accommodate high complexity, right?
Mm,
So
yes.
the lesson would be, if you have a simple SaaS company that sells 5 SKUs, don't go. Why? Why? They would
It'd
not
be a
be
heavy
the.
lift.
It'd
Hmm.
be a heavy lift unless you plan on acquiring a bunch of companies, or you already are a big company, and then it makes sense because it's got all the structure and scale in place to be able to
Yes.
handle that. But I noticed your note about Agent Force, and
Yes.
that's the side comment in my mind where I know you've been playing with Agent Force, and it's like, oh, okay, Revenue Cloud and Agent Force. Have you watched any videos on it?
I've seen a couple, like yeah, it might have been one you shared with me also, but how you know, basically the chatbot will know about as many processes as you've told it about. So in a customer service experience, Agent Force could be used to help with a return or exchange of an article of clothing. And I think the demo they provided on one of the Salesforce kickoffs was um, the agent knew about mailing in returns and shipping a return back, but it didn't think through or know that, oh, I could refer this customer to locations that are close by that might
Right.
have it in stock too, right? And by basically giving these agents the tools or the connection to what options should be allowed, the platform itself allows for quick flexibility. It allows for connecting so much information together and in an intelligent manner, right?
Yes.
Um,
And I
so
think
it's powerful.
that's where the value of like Revenue Cloud comes into play is now all your quoting data is on platform. And so Agent Force has access to it, whether you're using it in the quoting experience or in the future for some other means, right?
Yep.
Um, the the other, thing to say about Revenue Cloud is there's a lot of talk back and forth, a lot of mystery around it, and I'm not the expert, right? But as I dig into it, and once you peek under the covers, like there's several positives. Like it's on platform, right? So use all the core objects, all your data is where
Yes.
you'd expect it, so you can leverage it in all the different facets of Salesforce. Um, And another piece is it's not really a new build, right? Like I haven't seen anybody directly say this, but velocity, and I don't know if you have this in your timeline, but I was thinking back, velocity is where Salesforce Industries came from. So Salesforce bought Velocity, which was an industry specific CPQ tool built on Salesforce using this Omni Studio platform, right? They
Okay.
bought it in 2020, and then they turned it into Salesforce Industries, and they went around, they sold it to like telecom companies and so forth. But it is like that Omni Studio platform that is like underpins a lot of Revenue Cloud.
Mm,
So it's learning the holistic Revenue Cloud is like new to me. It's not new to everybody. There's a big integrator out there. I think they're based in Europe, and several of the guys came from the Velocity team. Uh, and I don't know if you've watched any, their videos are really good. They're like an hour long, and they know the tool. They knew Revenue Cloud like cold. And it's because they knew
okay.
Velocity, right? So it's like, it's so I guess what I'm trying to say is it's on platform and it's not actually a new build. Like it is proven in some ways, but like we've seen, it is complex. So you should have a reason to do it, whether it's you have a complex quoting motion or complex business or complex regulatory requirements, or you're that little side piece, the Agent Force. That's
Yeah.
the that's kind of the wild card out there that like could cause you to do a simple build just to take advantage of Agent Force.
Just to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The I don't know if it's a perfect analogy. What's coming to mind right now is, at the end of the day, it's you're saying it's still the same thing in many regards. Well, it sounds to me a lot like a combustion engine vehicle versus electric vehicle, right? End of
Mm-hmm.
the day, it's a car. It goes down the road, it gets that job done. The
Right.
complexities of how it works or the mechanics inside of it drastically different, a lot of different ways it can be configured and done, right?
Right.
um but yeah, there's a lot of the same as well.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
point. Okay. um well, I had also just pulled out, there are so many other CRM platforms I know we're anxiously anticipating more news around HubSpot and the cash flow solution that's been acquired. I think that just a week or so ago, there might have been a session reviewing some roadmap items. I was scrambling trying to find those details, but I haven't come across them just yet. I know more will come with inbound. Um, but that's going to be, something that will be very interesting, especially for like small to medium RevOps teams, for quote to cash solutions. Um, and then on top of that, we have ServiceNow too, which made a big step entering the market for CPQ with their acquisition of Logic, right?
Yes.
I know you spent some more time maybe than I reviewing the Logic solution. I don't know if you want to just take a moment to speak towards that, Ryan.
Yeah, I so I was actually like on the other side. I was digging up the slides. You remember? Maybe it was
Yes.
well, I guess I could tell like with the date. I think maybe it was a year ago. We were doing like hackathons on all
Yeah,
the players in this space. For um CPQs that are a good fit for like SaaS companies, right? So
that's
like
right.
new, subscribe, logic, stuff like that. And so I did one on logic. And what impressed me about logic were two things. It's built by industry experts, right? The folks that built Steelbrick built
Steelbrick, that's right.
logic, and it's got AI built in. And the demo they did of AI, it's what you expect, right? Like you go in as a rep and you say, "Hey, I have this customer. They're a software company. They have 100 users. I want to sell them support. Blah blah blah." And boom, it puts together a preliminary quote for you to work with, right? Which I think we keep joking about. Like again, we're in the way because like, why wouldn't it just listen to your transcript from your or read the transcript from your call, right?
Yep.
But that was impressive. And because they built Steelbrick, they have a kind of click of a button migration from Salesforce CPQ. I don't know, I mean, is that really possible? They know the mapping from one place to another, so it probably gives you a head start. But um seems like a really strong play for ServiceNow, especially if they're moving up in the CRM game. Talk about a way to steal Salesforce customers, right? Like, oh,
Right.
well, you have Salesforce CPQ, no problem. Well, we got a click of a button migration over to the CPQ tool, and you'll be up and running. But I mean, like, I was, I was excited about the Logic um, experience, and then
Hmm.
boom, they got acquired. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It will be. Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one and seeing how that evolves. Having used ServiceNow in past organizations for customer service, like I can see how, if you
Mm.
allow for a lot of those flows and the way data is handled um, into a sales motion as well, there's a lot cooking there. It's going to be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I think. Well, you probably worked with it. Did you work with it at Sixterra? Like
That's right.
my
Yep.
window into it at Sixterra was very small. Like so, I was on the Salesforce side, and then there was a whole team of people that figured out how to connect the data between Salesforce and ServiceNow. Right? And it's
Hmm.
this kind of goes to a conversation about like I have some notes on, well, how do you decide what CPQ? And one of the elements is like, what CRM are you on? Uh, but then also the other element is like, what's your primary focus? Is it CPQ? Is it billing? Is it CLM? Like,
Hmm.
because that drives the decision, and then you go out from there. So if you're I don't know, I don't. You'll correct me. Like if you're a service oriented business or so, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
and you're using ServiceNow, and then like so sales is an extension of that. Then this kind of makes sense. But like it always gets risky when you take operations centric stuff and then try to shove it into the sales process, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to an extent, you could even say that on the marketing front as well. right? I think about, you know, the lead object versus contact object in
Yes.
Salesforce, just as a quick example, right? Uh,
Yes.
how frequent do we see organizations just not even deal with the lead object because it creates so much chaos and confusion, and just
It
focus on
really does.
context. Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like we use HubSpot.
Yep.
I I didn't notice the absence of leads, but it's so nice because like yes.
Yep.
But circling back to HubSpot, you talked about the acquisition of HubSpot, cash flow.
Yes. Yep.
Cash flow is one that was really interesting too because it seemed like it's highly focused on. No, I shouldn't say that. It was a great fit for the use case of being a software as a service company. Like that to me, it was
Mm,
like a no brainer. Like I'm starting a SaaS company tomorrow. I'm getting cash flow, right? And so
yes.
with it combined with HubSpot, that even makes it better. But we're kind of in this like wait and see period to see what happens. Like with the way that we see HubSpot deal with other things is like they rebuild them on platform so it's a unified experience. So I'm sure that's what they're busy doing, and it's probably going to be it's going to be great for a lot of people that are on HubSpot already.
Yeah. And uh I anticipate that it is going to have a lot of competing factors against Agent Force because of the way that they're implementing Breeze,
Yes.
and the ability to chat through what's the history with this account, what's actually happening. Well, now throw in the CPQ elements into that. I mean, it's their rebuttal to the Agent Force solution.
And I haven't like we experienced Breeze through HubSpot and it just kind of like showed up and we just started using it, right?
Right.
I don't know how that happens in a Salesforce org just because I haven't been in one where it's actively being used, you know?
Mm, yeah, that's a good point. I haven't looked at that side of it either. Um, Good thing to watch out for though.
For sure. For sure. I mean, I know that Salesforce is giving people, you know, access and putting it in contracts so people have a taste of Agent Force. It's a matter of
Yes.
how do you enable it in your organization and get the right value out of it, right?
Hmm. Cool. Um, yo, over the top of all this, we spend so much time with DealHub, of course. DealHub's a CPQ that can interact with Salesforce, interact with HubSpot. It will be able to assist in, the context of the customer and everything, leveraging all these items. I guess for today, we're kind of stretching past what we know, and we were trying to explore other solutions as well, and some that, as Ryan mentioned in the opening, the CPQ ecosystem is vast, and there are so many other solutions that we've barely have ever scraped the surface on, but we are familiar with a few others that we don't talk about as regularly. Monetize Now and Tacton, I'd say we probably have a little more experience with compared to others. In my review, I was coming up with Conga, Expert Logics. I know these aren't small by any means, but there's just so many hours in the day and so many solutions to keep track of. So,
Right.
um,
Right.
and yeah, so as we were preparing, I kind of just started watching, monitoring what the chatter was going on around CPQ, um, and so seeing posts. What was the catalyst of this? Really, kind of as Salesforce CPQ was going end of sale, the chatter around RevOps and other things kind of spinning up. It's just interesting to watch a lot of posts going on about trying to figure out, well, what solution do you maybe want to migrate to? I captured a couple about one from Monetize Now. Just we'll even just use the visual they provide. They're just trying to say, hey, we're going to be a simple solution for you, whereas maybe something else might be a bit heavier. Another one was around the uh, logic acquisition and how ServiceNow is coming into the CRM marketplace. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of chatter going on out there.
Yeah, when you kind of mentioned the monetize now, I went back to my hackathon slides for that.
Yeah,
Um, it it is they did a really good demos that don't suck on RevOps co-op, right? For
that's right. I
monetize
remember that.
now. I love those that Matt puts together. And monetize now is kind of that holistic like quote to billing solution is all embedded in Salesforce, and it does a really good job of handling amendments, and it creates
Mm,
contract records in Salesforce, right? So
hmm.
again, like it would be a player for uh I have a newish company and I'm a SaaS company and I'm gonna run on Salesforce. It would be a player to think about, right?
Definitely.
It's interesting to see an announcement like this from then, right? Because it does feel like if you bought CPQ a few years ago and you were that type of company or that size of company, you bought overkill. But I'm saying that with the lens of what's in the market today, right?
Okay.
Like 3, 4, 5 years ago, you didn't have all these other options.
Right.
So if you wanted to have a contract and you wanted to have subscriptions and you wanted to tie it into billing, like you went down the Salesforce path, right?
Hmm.
So um I guess there are probably customers that are that size that are using Salesforce CPQ, but it's probably not the majority of them, right?
Right.
And so I could see a benefit of them moving, but it's probably not. Again, back to my previous statement, like if it's working, don't fix it.
That's right.
um
And it just you mentioning, how monetized now is kind of on platform. Another solution I even put down in here is new, right? They're also
yes,
built directly into Salesforce. They have a lot of great capabilities around the subscription management and everything. Um, I've had the opportunity to work in some environments with them, and everything's inside of Salesforce, and so it makes it that much easier to be maybe leverage some of those other solutions that are coming down the pipe.
we have personal experience that when you try to take it out of a Salesforce environment, it can be very, very challenging.
This is true as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was hoping you'd show these. So like I was
Yeah.
kind of thinking like, oh well, let's look at the marketplace and like how things are changing. And then this took me down a whole rabbit hole. But like the Gartner Magic Quadrant is always like it's that thing that why are some people not on here? I don't know. There's
Mm,
talking about that, but you can see how it kind of evolves. Like 2019, we've got some players like Salesforce. You see Velocity, which I talked about,
yep.
SAP, Zora, PROS. I don't know how you say that name.
Hmm.
Um, but then, like going down to 2022, now we see Tacton show up. Now Velocity is Salesforce Industries. Got Salesforce CPQ there. What I found really interesting when I was looking at G2 is Revenue Cloud has basically just inherited all the G2 reviews for Salesforce CPQ, which seems
Oh,
like not right to me. Maybe that's something they're going to
interesting.
rectify because I was like, man, this is crazy. How do they have so many reviews on G2 for Revenue Cloud? Well, as you go and you read, it's Salesforce CPQ, which
Oh,
so you're not getting like an accurate depiction of people's assessment of Revenue Cloud.
right. Because it's all the hit pass stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah. Some other stuff that like popped out at me when I was looking on here is Vendavo. So I started to go down, look at them. They're like if you have a manufacturing company, you buy like Vendavo, you buy PROS,
Okay.
Tacton. Those
Yep.
are heavy duty implementations. Like you would never touch, you wouldn't even look at any of the CPQs that we've talked about, like Logic or any, they couldn't handle it, right? Um,
Because you have to break things down so granularly for the cost of goods and everything, I assume, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
You have so many dependencies, right? Yeah.
Okay. And then
Um,
it brings us to 24 then, I think.
yeah, I found it interesting. Salesforce Industries is still on here, but I guess it's like it's been changing.
Mm,
Um, so I had some hot takes that I haven't spent much time thinking about, and so we call these work in progress, right? Like the point is, like, there's no CPQ that's a fit for everything, and so you have to first go through your assessment of like, um, let me let me go back to my assessment questions. What CRM do I use? Because I can't select a CPQ that's not compatible. That's a total waste of time of looking at them, right? So that's the first question. Um, what is the most important thing to me? Is it pricing science, which is I think what they call it with PROS and Tacton and those guys, where you're basically like you have your costing model in the system, and then it develops a price based on the configuration. Um,
okay.
do you do you need just configure price and quote for a rep? Do you need a proposal? How good a proposal looks, is that the most important thing, and you only have a few products? That's something to take into consideration.
Mm,
Are you all about billing and getting billing right? And that that is another thing. CLM, is that your consideration? ERP, is that your consideration? Because like that's your entry point, and then you find the CPQ that's CPQ is the wrong word, but you find the platform that's the best at that, and they
hmm.
all kind of do these other things okay, right?
Right.
Like I don't think anybody does all of these things great. Um, so that's why I started off with this. Some choices are easy. Like, hey, I want a great looking proposal. My products are not complex. Like, I don't know, maybe you sell professional service and you only sell hours. And so you want a great
Yep.
looking proposal. Like it seems like Proposify, which we've seen before. Pandadoc
Yes.
does a really good job of that. With DealHub, you can do that. Plus you have the deal
Absolutely.
room.
Yep.
Um, if you have lots of legal clauses, like, and you need to be able to track that per customer and know, like, hey, which customers have an early out clause, or hey, which customers have we promised
Hmm.
X, Y, and Z to? You can't go looking through documents. So you need a real CLM. And I think that's Conga's strong point, right? So that would be the first place I'd look.
Okay.
Um, you're a SaaS company that wants to easily upsell, downsell, renew, and build clients. New, and now you reminded me of it. I probably put monetize now there too,
Mm,
right? So I'll
yeah.
update that. Um, you want a guided selling experience process for your sellers. I mean, this is what we live in. This is why I fell in love with DealHub.
Definitely.
It's the easiest to build guided selling process. And then, you know, but I also tacked on here, and your products and pricing are not that complex. Because like as it becomes more complex, it compounds the challenge and difficulty of managing DealHub, right?
Sure.
You have a complex enterprise scale manufacturing business, Tacton, Vendavo, PROS. I'm thinking that Revenue Cloud like can push into all of these for different reasons.
Yep.
Like if I had a medium complexity product set and I expected it to grow, and I'm Salesforce person, I'd probably go with Revenue Cloud, right? Um, if you're on HubSpot and you've got a simple business, wait for cash flow, right?
It's coming. Yeah.
So I don't know. What's your I think this is the first time you've seen these. I'm totally off the mark, or
No, I agree with a lot of these, all of them really. The only other data point I wanted to add was on DealHub. Um, we were talking about like manufacturers and how they have to have the full cog being able to be bundled and broken apart and everything else. I think that's the level of complexity where some of those solutions shine. But if you're thinking about, well, I have multiple product lines or um, multiple ways that something could be sold, DealHub definitely is able to handle those. Um,
yes, yeah,
so it's
definitely,
yeah, it's all about the detail of the line item, not how many line items, I'd say.
yeah.
This is good.
Cool. I'm updating my,
Oh, right. Yeah.
yeah.
Apply add-ons. Okay. I'm trying to
And
think
if
of
you have
other stuff,
Oracle
but
CRM, I guess you buy Oracle CPQ. I don't know who uses Oracle CRM, but anyway, sorry. Yeah.
there was one point you shared an image about that I thought was a really good visualization of like how all these different solutions stack up based on complexity. Are you still working on
I,
that?
yeah, I
Okay.
threw it out. I don't,
Okay.
I think I was trying to put like a chart together with like complexity and then like maturity of the business or something, and then like what solution fit. But the problem is it like it doesn't matter if you're a manufacturing company, you should go buy manufacturing CPQ. Like none of that matters, right? So
Oh,
that's I think that's where I settled at this
back
simplified
to this.
list.
I see.
Um and listen, it's not like, you know, these are the only options, but it's the place to start. Like, so if
Hmm.
you know, oh, I need Conga. And by the way, ChatGPT is great at asking this. Like, okay, who's good also at
Right.
you at doing a CLM like Conga is, and then it'll tell you, right? And then you can kind of compare and contrast, and then you can even go down the, well, does it work with my CRM? You know, and so forth, and really hone down like when you go to G2 or you go to Gartner, there's like 170 CPQs, but really there's only probably two or three that you should look at based on your business. I'm thinking, right? And to me, I don't know, maybe I see it as trivial, but like the price, uh, you know, when you're paying a sales rep six figures, what does it matter if you pay $50 or $200 for a license for their CPQ that makes them quote fast and look good in
More
front of their
efficient.
clients? It seems so trivial, right? The tool
Hmm.
cost does. Yeah.
Right. Right. Especially if it provides time savings consistency across every portion of your
Yes.
business, right? Not just the salesperson, but then, what's happening down the road when you have to fill that license, renew that license. Yeah,
Yes.
that all comes up. Nice. Oh, this is good. And I had started to pull together also just like think looking at the month so far.
Mm.
What's
Wow.
changing, what new news is out there. Um, you know, I had put together some details right as the Logic acquisition happened, but even since then there've already been a number of new CPQ based news worthy events. Um, you know, Conga, which is a CPQ I'm not as familiar with. I think you mentioned earlier though. Um, they're entering with an AI based solution. Um, yeah, a lot of partners are talking about the end of sale
Yeah.
with Salesforce CPQ. So there's a lot of evolving information out there and a lot to keep up with.
I think the Conga's I've never played with it directly, but from my understanding, it's really strong in the CLM space. So the AI piece, like them talking about
That's
AI
right.
and incorporating it in, makes a lot of sense. Um, Not that I think I saw a demo at one point where like Agent Force was writing legal clauses for you and stuff, which was like it was a stretch. Like no legal
Sure.
department's gonna allow that. But like if you wanted to prime a clause and then edit it, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I'd be excited if I'd be excited. We read that article um a couple weeks ago about developers, and like it's what was it, the revenge of the junior developer. Like
Yep.
junior developers are more apt to use AI than senior developers because senior developers just see all the holes in it and they say, well, this won't work, whereas a junior developer, they can't lean on experience, so they push forward using AI. So I don't know, I can imagine the same thing would happen in law. Like if I was a fresh lawyer, why,
Sure.
I don't know. I don't
Sure,
know.
you don't have the experience or the battle wound of allowing for a lot of flexibility in the contract that you then have to,
Right.
defend, rebut 2 years later. So yeah,
Right. Or if you're a small company and you don't have a lawyer,
right.
you know,
Yeah, yeah. AI is definitely an option nowadays, right? Instead of hiring,
yes.
what can you self service based on what the solution knows about?
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Well, I know I saw a question from Andrew earlier about the ROI on my car, and I told him I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know. It's negative. It's negative. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
No, Andrew's saying it terrified of maintaining AI generated code. Yeah, it's a fair point. That's a fair
Nice.
point.
Blast from the past. I have old coworker Thomas out there too. Hope he's doing well. Great to see you. That's great. I'll have to connect Thomas and see how things are. Hopefully you're all doing well.
All right. I guess we can wrap it up. This
Wrap
was
it up
fun.
there. Yeah.
This is fun.
Until hopefully we, like we mentioned at the opening, I'm sure there are many CPQ solutions that we may have overlooked or didn't mention a key point about. I think Andrew even highlighted potential shortcoming of cash flow at one point in time, which maybe the HubSpot integration will help to resolve too, right?
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
so keep those details coming because we want to be aware of them, and maybe it was just something that we overlooked in a short compressed session like today's.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll close it off and until our next office hour.
All right.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks
everybody.
everyone. Bye now.